Imagine two people who seem to be doing everything right. They graduated around the same time, they live in the same city, they're close in age, but financially, their lives couldn't look more different. Let's call the first person Oliver. Oliver earns more than $150,000 a year. He lives in a beautiful apartment, drives a luxury car, replaces his phone every couple of years without thinking twice. From the outside, he looks successful. The kind of person most people assume has money figured out. But behind the scenes, his bank account tells a different story. A few days before payday, his balance is running low. He carries credit card debt. His emergency fund is almost non-existent, and despite earning a six-figure salary, money is something he worries about almost every day. Now meet Ethan. Ethan earns less than half of what Oliver makes. He drives a car that's already paid off, keeps his phone until it actually needs replacing. He still travels, still enjoys dinners with friends, still spends money on things that matter to him. But unlike Oliver, he has a healthy emergency fund. His investments keep growing every month, and his net worth is several times higher. So how does someone earning so much less end up in a stronger financial position? Most people assume the answer has to be income. Work harder, get promoted, earn more money, but income isn't what separates Oliver and Ethan. Their habits do. If you're interested in the psychology behind money and the simple habits that quietly build long-term wealth, consider subscribing. On this channel, we break down financial ideas in a way that's practical, realistic, and easy to apply. Here's what Oliver never realized. Building wealth isn't about making every perfect financial decision. It's about avoiding the small mistakes that quietly repeat month after month. Because earning more money doesn't automatically make you wealthier. If every raise simply leads to a more expensive lifestyle, your income grows. But your financial freedom doesn't. And the first habit that separated Ethan from Oliver wasn't investing. It wasn't budgeting. It started with one simple question that almost nobody ever asks. How much is actually enough? Oliver had always assumed the goal was simple: earn more. Then, earn even more. But the problem with that mindset is that there's no finish line. Every raise creates a new lifestyle. Every promotion creates new expectations. And before long, what once felt like success becomes ordinary. Psychologists call this hedonic adaptation. We adapt surprisingly quickly to better circumstances. The apartment that once felt luxurious becomes normal. The new car stops feeling new. The salary you once dreamed about becomes the minimum you think you need. That's why some people earning well over six figures still feel financially stretched. Not because they don't make enough, but because enough keeps moving. Oliver realized he'd never actually asked himself one simple question. How much money do I need to live a life I genuinely enjoy? Not an extravagant life, not a life designed to impress other people, just one that feels comfortable. Once he had that number, everything changed. Any future raises no longer had to fund a more expensive lifestyle. They could build something far more valuable: freedom. Instead of automatically upgrading his spending, Oliver started investing most of every pay increase. His lifestyle improved gradually, but his savings grew much faster than his expenses. Then he noticed another habit that had quietly been costing him far more than he realized. Every purchase had two prices: the one printed on the receipt and the one he'd never considered. The future value of the money if he had invested it instead. A $300 monthly car upgrade might not seem dramatic. But over decades, invested consistently, that same money could grow into hundreds of thousands of dollars. That doesn't mean every purchase is a mistake. Far from it. The goal isn't to stop enjoying your money. The goal is simply to ask one extra question before you spend it. Is this worth giving up what this money could become? Sometimes the answer will be yes, sometimes it won't. But asking the question alone changes the way you see money. And for Oliver, that small shift in thinking became the beginning of every better financial decision that followed. As Oliver became more aware of his spending, he noticed something surprising. Very few purchases ever ruin someone's finances on their own. It was the chain reaction afterward that caused the real damage. He bought a new television. Suddenly, the old TV stand looked outdated. The living room no longer felt complete. Before long, there was a new sofa, a new coffee table, a new rug. None of those purchases felt irresponsible. Each one seemed to make sense, but together, they cost far more than the original purchase ever did. That's why Oliver started asking himself a different question before buying anything. If I buy this, what else will I feel the need to upgrade? That single question saved him from countless unnecessary expenses. Then he turned his attention to something even smaller: subscriptions. A streaming service here, a fitness app there, cloud storage, music, software. Individually, they barely seem worth thinking about. Together, they quietly consumed hundreds of dollars every month. So every few months, Oliver reviewed every recurring payment. If he hadn't used something recently, he canceled it. Not because saving $10 would change his life overnight, but because financial stability is usually built by paying attention to the little things before they become big things. Then came another habit that completely changed the way he spent money. Instead of buying something the moment he wanted it, he waited. For any non-essential purchase, Oliver gave himself at least 3 days. If he still wanted it after 72 hours, he bought it. More often than not, the excitement disappeared long before the waiting period ended. He realized he hadn't wanted the item. He'd only wanted the feeling of buying something new. That simple pause saved him far more than any budgeting app ever had. Because the biggest threat to his finances wasn't a lack of income, it was impulse. And once Oliver learned how to slow those impulses down, he discovered one final habit that quietly separated financially stable people from everyone else. It wasn't about spending less, it was about making sure every future raise actually made him wealthier. As the years went by, Oliver noticed something else. Every time his income increased, he had a choice. He could upgrade his lifestyle, or he could upgrade his future. For a long time, he assumed every raise was permission to spend more. A nicer apartment, more expensive restaurants, a newer car. But then he realized something. If every raise disappears into higher monthly expenses, your salary grows. Your wealth doesn't. So Oliver made one simple rule. Whenever his income increased, most of the extra money went straight into savings and investments before he had the chance to spend it. He also stopped relying on motivation. Instead of reminding himself to invest every month, he automated it. The money left his account on payday without him making another decision. Because good financial habits aren't built on willpower. They're built on systems. Then he simplified the way he measured progress. Instead of tracking dozens of categories, he focused on one question. Am I saving a larger percentage of my income than I was last year? If the answer was yes, he knew he was moving in the right direction. Finally, Oliver stopped thinking about money as numbers on a screen. He started thinking about it as time. Every purchase represented hours of his life. Every unnecessary expense meant working a little longer. Every dollar invested bought a little more freedom in the future. That changed everything, because the goal had never been to own the nicest car, or the newest phone, or the biggest house. The goal was to build a life where money created options instead of stress. Looking back, Oliver realized the biggest gap between financially secure people and everyone else wasn't their income. It was the quiet rules they followed every day. They knew what enough looked like. They questioned impulse purchases. They avoided lifestyle inflation. They invested consistently. And they built systems that worked even when motivation disappeared. That's why someone earning half as much can sometimes retire earlier, sleep better, and feel far more secure than someone earning twice their salary, because wealth isn't measured by how much money passes through your hands. It's measured by how much of it stays there long enough to change your future. And in the end, financial freedom isn't built by one extraordinary decision. It's built by ordinary ones, repeated consistently, until one day you realize you're no longer working just to keep up. You're finally working because you choose to.